Senator Hume.
President, I rise to take note of all answers given to all coalition questions from the government, and particularly those around the inflation figures that have been announced today. Quite extraordinary how far inflation has ticked up, considering that just last year, just a few months ago, Jim Chalmers was telling us all that the inflation genie was back in the bottle, that he had tamed the dragon, that we didn't need to worry anymore, that we could expect decreases in the prices of houses, that we would see interest rates come down, that everything was fine. And it was all due to his exceptional economic management. Well, how quickly the story has changed. Now, you'll recall, Deputy President, that at the beginning of this Labor government, when inflation was high, Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, said that it was always somebody else's fault. First of all, he blamed the coalition. Then he said it was Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine, and that had pushed up gas prices. Then he said that it was Hamas's fault, and the troubles that were going on in the Middle East, that was causing the rise in energy prices and pushing up inflation around the world. Then he said that, oh, well, now that President Trump has been elected, that's geopolitical instability and that's causing some problems with inflation, and that's just something we have to deal with. And then he came back to the coalition and said it was our fault all over again. Now, at no point in time has the Treasurer ever once taken responsibility for the persistent inflation in this country, even though our inflation was higher and lasted longer than in so many advanced economies, who managed to tame their inflation through fiscal responsibility. They saw their government spending wind back in response to high inflation around the world. They said, no, we'll do our bit. We'll do some of the heavy lifting. We won't turn it all over to monetary policy. But that's not what this government did. In fact, they said, oh, this is really Michelle Bullock's responsibility. We'll just turn it over to her. So poor RBA had to pull on the only lever they had, because they've only got one lever, and that's monetary policy, and they pulled it 12 times. That's why we saw interest rates go up 12 times in the last parliament. 12 times. Now it's come back 3 times, but now it's stalled again. And there are so many Australians out there. Do you remember the days, Deputy President, when Australians really didn't give 2 hoots what the inflation data was doing? They really didn't even look too hard at interest rates. But now you've got families that are hanging out, watching economic data roll in, wondering how it's going to affect them. And you can understand why, because their living standards have gone backwards. They've gone backwards under this government. Now, why have they gone backwards? Because inflation has been too high for too long. It's eaten away at their wages. It means that they can buy less with the money that they have. Even if their wages have gone up, they haven't gone up enough to keep up with the rising cost of living. And it's that cost of living that has caused so much damage just in the last 3 years alone. That persistent rising cost of living, which apparently, according to Jim Chalmers, is the problem has been solved. Now, what is one of the causes of this persistent inflation? It's not just government spending, although, let's face it, that is important. Even Michelle Bullock has pointed that out. It is the rising cost of energy. Those increasing energy bills, that you all know have gone up by 40% in the last 3 years. And why have they gone up 40%? Because of this government's ideological obsession with reaching its renewable energy targets and reducing emissions by well beyond any comparable country by 2030 and indeed 2035 as well. And that ideological obsession has seen our energy prices rise, not lower. Only the coalition has proposed an alternative, which is to reduce emissions, but while delivering affordable and reliable energy, shoring up the grid, a technology-neutral approach that will not see a one-eyed single technology of renewable energy delivering higher energy prices, which of course is taking us all backwards. That renewable energy obsession is what has seen companies like Tomago go out of business, like Incitec Pivot, like Kinos Plastics, like Oceana Glass in my home state of Victoria. These companies, these manufacturing businesses, are going out of business because of this government's approach to managing the economy, to managing the energy grid and to managing inflation. We want to see the pie grow. Economic management is not something that happens by accident, it happens by design, but this government has done the exact opposite, and it's Australians that are paying the price.